Thank you for joining us at FTP Sports Games. This video covers screen game example plays and everything associated with resolving a screen play. In sideline football, there are 4 types of screen passes. The middle screen to a running back, fullback, tight end, or wide receiver. A swing pass to a running back, fullback, or tight end. The wide receiver bubble screen. The offense must be in a 3-wide, 4-wide, or 5-wide so that there are tandem receivers. So the package has to be either 3-wide, 4-wide, or 5-wide so that 2 receivers can be together on the same side of the formation because they're going to work together as tandem receivers. So the bubble screen is a screen to the outside receiver who moves to the inside of the tandem wideout. The wide receiver slip screen. Again, the offense must be in a 3-wide, 4-wide, or 5-wide package so that tandem receivers are available, and the screen is to an inside receiver who moves to the outside, slips to the outside of the tandem wideout. When it comes to using offensive coordinators and screen passes, if you get a screen pass call, you can determine who you want that to be. So if you want it to be to the running back or the fullback or the tight end on a middle screen, etc. You don't have to stick to the target designation because usually your green target will be a wide receiver, and say a screen pass is called and you want to get the running back involved in the screen game, someone like Darren Sproles, etc. So you have discretion at that point. Anytime an offensive coordinator calls for a screen pass, you determine who the receiver is going to be. Screen pass plays look to identify 2 principal things. Number 1, what level does the screen pass play start at? And number 2, where does the screen pass play end? This is what makes the screen game fun in sideline football because there are 2 things happening, blocking and then pursuit. So when we look at the blocking, let's have a look at the yardage levels associated with the screen pass game on the left PRC. You see that there is a black number and then a red number. If the offense is called on to block it up for the screen game, and they do, then the start level is the black number. If the IPA calls for the defensive player to blow up the screen, and he does, then it's the red number below. Likewise, if the IPA calls for the offense to block for a screen game, and they don't, it starts at the red level. And if a defender is called on to try and blow up the screen and he can, it starts at the black level. So anything advantageous to the defense starts at red. Anything that's in favor of the offense starts at black. When it's pursued, so when the blocking happens and the defense tries to blow it up, after all that's taken care of, you throw the screen pass. If it's complete, then pursuit takes place. And what you're finding out here is, does the level change as a result of the pursuit? If it does, for example, let's say that the offense blocked well for the screen game, and then the defense tried to pursue it and they weren't able to, then you're going to add. So you would add 8 and 4 together, and a total gain on the play, barring some sort of breakaway, would be 12. So when it comes to the pursuit, there are individual player actions involved in the defense actually trying to pursue the screen to keep it from going any further, and there are individual player actions involved where the receiver tries to break through all the chaos and the trash around all the screen blocking, just like we see every week when we watch football on TV. So again, 2 main things to identify. What's the start level of the screen? Is it complete? And then what happens in pursuit? And so it makes the screen pass game pretty fun. There are a lot of fun play calls associated with it. So let's look at one here. Let's say we're going to call a middle screen. And it's New Orleans versus Green Bay from the 2012 historical season set. Say the down and distance is 2nd and 7 to go on our own 43-yard line. That's a full rating when it comes to offensive tendency by down and distance. Let's say the offensive play call is 3-wide, middle screen, and we're going to have Darren Sproles be the receiver. And the defensive call is in man. So again, it's 3-wide, middle screen, Darren Sproles, if you're calling it just like an offensive coordinator would. The first thing we're going to do is draw the left and right PRCs and find out what happens at the snap of the ball. This time we see up here that it says that there's a possibility of the right defensive end drawing a false start. Again, every play starts out up here to see if anything happens at the snap of the ball. So we look at C.J. Wilson, since in this case it's New Orleans versus Green Bay, and he's the right defensive end, and we're checking to see if this number is within his pressure rating. The higher the pressure rating, the better. Think of J.J. Watt Mark Gastineau, guys like that, they're going to draw a lot more false starts because of their ability to get off the ball quickly. C.J. Wilson has a pressure rating of 7. This is way above that, so he does not draw the false start at the snap of the play. So the ball is snapped, and we take these two numbers together. That's 71, and we look over here, and that's the blow-up screen IPA. All right? Well, who's going to blow up the screen? We look down here, again, in the pass block / rush section, and Green Bay is a 3-4 defense, so it calls on the right defensive end to try and blow up that screen blocking. Well, that is C.J. Wilson. So even though he didn't draw a false start, he's going to be the one to try and blow up the screen blocking. So let's see what happens as we resolve the play. We draw the next play cards and determine if the screen blocking is actually blown up. So again, it's C.J. Wilson, and we flip the PRCs, and we see that 2 fits within C.J. Wilson's pressure rating. So he does blow up the screen blocking. And as a result, we use the lower QB screen pass number. So when Drew Brees throws the screen pass, we're going to use his lower number since C.J. Wilson blew up the screen blocking. And if it's completed, then the screen play is going to actually start here at the red level. So again, C.J. Wilson blows it up, lower screen pass number for Drew Brees, and if it's complete, it's going to start here at the red level. So let's see how this ends up. Drew Brees is the quarterback, Darren Sproles is the screen receiver, and draw the new PRCs, and we see that 4 is within Drew Brees' lower screen rating number, but 4, being that it's red, also calls for a chance to see if Darren Sproles drops that. We look across to the other PRC, and 6 is above his drop rating, so a drop does not happen there. And we need to see what happens now that Darren Sproles has caught it, if someone's going to try and pursue that, or if he's going to get to break through all the chaos. So we take 0 and 2 together, and when we look to the pursuit section of the game center under the screenplays portion, we see that it calls for a defender to try and make a tackle and a solid hit. So these are a little bit more fun, provides a little bit more play-by-play fodder for your mind as you're describing the action to yourself, and we're going to find out which defender pursues that. So we look over here. This section of the left PRC identifies a defender by defensive level. Well, which one do we choose? This number 4 is going to tell us if it's 1 through 5, it's a defensive lineman. So again, we're going through layers of a defense, right? D-line, linebacker, defensive secondary. The levels of a defense. It's talked about all the time on Saturday and Sunday. Number 1 through 4 here corresponds to a defensive lineman, 6 through 15 a linebacker, and 16 through 20 the defensive secondary. So we see here that this says it's the D-line level, and as we look over, we don't see a position listed, we see a color. That's a stopper color. So who is the blue stopper for Green Bay? It's Clay Matthews. All right, so C.J. Wilson blew up the screen blocking. Drew Brees still found Darren Sproles. He didn't drop it. And now we're going to find out what happens as Clay Matthews tries to pursue that and prevent any level bump or additional yardage being added. All right, so Clay Matthews is the defender. We flip the PRCs, and we see that number 1 is inside of his tackle rating. It's also inside of his hit rating. So yes, he does pursue the screen effectively, and he hits Darren Sproles. Normally, if Clay Matthews was someone who caused fumbles aside from a quarterback pressure, 1 would be clear down here, and he would have a chance to try and force a fumble on Darren Sproles, and because he's hit him, that increases the chances, as outlined in the instructions. So again, he does pursue the screen effectively. He hits Darren Sproles hard, and that's it. What's the final result? Well, since C.J. Wilson blew it up and Clay Matthews pursued it, no gain. So just like that, middle screen, C.J. Wilson blows up the blocking, Brees finds Sproles, and he cannot get through the chaos and the trash associated with all the screen blocking and everything that's going with that, because Clay Matthews came up as a blue stopper and pursued it and stopped it right there, and no extra yardage is gained. Let's look at another one. Let's say we're going to call a bubble screen, and it's New Orleans again versus Green Bay, down in distance, 1st and 10 to go on our own 22-yard line. That's a full rating. Let's say the offensive call is a 4 wide and then a bubble screen. Again, you have to be in a 3 wide, 4 wide, or 5 wide package to be able to call a bubble screen, because 2 receivers are going to work together. So 4 wide, bubble screen, Marcus Colston. And let's say this time Green Bay is in a zone defense. So let's resolve it. We flip the PRCs and see that it's just a snap. Nothing happens at the snap of the play. We take these two numbers here, 34, and it calls for someone to provide screen blocking. Well, in the instructions, that tells you who that is on a bubble screen. And it's going to be the tandem receiver, because the bubble screen calls for the outside receiver to bubble inside of the inside receiver and catch the pass. So that tandem receiver is Devery Henderson. He's going to be called on to provide the screen blocking out on the perimeter so that Drew Brees can find Marcus Colston and they can do one of those screenplays that the Saints are famous for. So we are going to find out if Devery Henderson is able to make that screen block on the perimeter. And we flip the PRCs and we see that 9 is within Devery Henderson's pass block rating. So 9 is within his pass block rating. So he does provide effective pass blocking. So that's going to start at the black screen number level. Not on this card, on the final card where we determine the yardage result. We see here that there's the potential of a flag. Anytime flag pops up here, you just glance at this. If this number is within Devery Henderson's penalty rating, which it is not, then a penalty would occur on the play. But it doesn't. So Henderson provides effective bubble screen blocking on the outside. So now we're going to find out if it's complete or not. And because he provided the blocking, we're going to use Drew Brees' highest screen number, which is 20. That doesn't mean it's going to be complete all the time because there's still a chance for a drop. All right. So Brees to Colston on a bubble screen. 16 is within his screen number. So that pass is going to be complete to Marcus Colston. Then when we look at this number here, 82, when it comes to pursuit, we see that it calls for Colston to try and break through the defense. So Brees hits Colston. Henderson blocks it up effectively. And now we're going to find out what happens. So Marcus Colston's going to try and break through all the chaos around the screen on the perimeter and see if he can pick anything up. The first thing we notice here on the left PRC is that 1 is a very low number. So not only has he broken through the chaos of the screen, he also is going to break away. There's going to be a breakaway opportunity here. All right. So if this were just a normal screen pass because it was blocked up effectively, it would start here at number 7, the black number. And because Marcus Colston did break through that first little level right there, it would be 7 plus 2 for a screen total of 9 yards. However, 1 is also within his breakaway rating, so he's going to go further than that. And we're going to have our first look at a long gain opportunity. Anytime a long gain opportunity comes up, you draw 2 new play result cards and you refer to the long gains chart in your materials. And you're going to look at these 2 numbers here, the left and the right PRC. The left PRC corresponds down here. It's going to identify what the first breakaway yardage level is. And when we see here, it's a level G. So when Marcus Colston breaks through that, he gets at least 30 yards. And this right here will tell us, across this array of numbers, how many extra yards he will be able to go for on the first break. So right now he's made it at least 30, and he can go for another 10 plus yards to the F level if he's able to break through. We take this number here, 22, and it calls for Colston to try and cut back against the defense or make a move out there to try and gain that extra yardage. So when we look at Colston here, we see that 8 is within his YAC rating number. Again, we're referring to the long gains chart. This time it's the secondary break. So on all long gains, there are 2 breakaway opportunities. There's a first break and a second break. The first one went to the G level, right? And if he happened to break away, it called for a bump up of 1, which is to the F level, which is 40 yards. And then if another break is possible, well, we look here at the left 10 number. It calls for the left 10 number, and we see that no secondary break is possible. So when we look at it, he started at G. He bumped up to F, which is 40. You take the right 10 number, 1 through 10 here, and you add it to the level that he arrived at, which was 40, and he's got a total gain of 48 yards on the play. So the screen pass was blocked effectively by Devery Henderson. Drew Brees hits him. Marcus Colston not only breaks through the chaos of the screen, but he breaks away, and when it's all said and done, he's got a gain of 48 yards on a bubble screen, which happens quite frequently in the NFL, and the Saints are known for their screen game. Let's look at a couple of specialty defenses versus the screen game. The blitz. Lots of teams like to call screen passes against the blitz because it can really gash them and gain a lot of extra yards. But if the defense is able to make the plays, or the offense fails to make the play, then the screen game can get blown up pretty effectively and even be thrown for a loss or a big loss. So at the beginning, screen blocking and start level determination. This sees a level drop of 1. If the defense blows up the screen blocking, or the offense fails to provide screen blocking, the upper loss yardage number is used instead of the red number. All right. So instead of this one, because it's a blitz, we're now going to look over here as the start level. So defense blows it up in a blitz, or the offense fails to pick up that blitz. They're under a lot of pressure. The screen pass can still be completed, but now it's going to start further back at 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. If the offense picks up the blitz through screen blocking, or the defense brings pressure but isn't able to get there or blow up the screen blocking, the black number is added to the opposite PRC plus yardage number. So when we look at it, the PRC plus yardage number is this one on the opposite side. It's the plus, and it's going to be a number 1 through 10. So in this case, if the offense picks up the blitz, or the defense fails to provide any pressure and blow that up, then it's the screen pass, because it's against a blitz and it's very effective. It's going to start further down the field. So instead of starting 6 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, it's now going to start 7. And imagine, since this is 1 through 10, if that's higher, then the screenplay is going to really work against that blitz. Screenplay pursuit. So now once we determine the block and the start level and everything like that associated with the blitz versus the screen game, if the pass is complete and we move to the pursue the screen individual player actions, we're going to determine the final yardage. If the screen blocking is blown up and the defense pursues the screen effectively, or if the offense fails to block it up and then fails to break through it, if 2 things happen in favor of the defense, a big loss occurs. Because if the defense blows it up or the offense doesn't block effectively, we're starting down here, right? We drop 1 level from the red to the upper loss number. But now, if that's pursued effectively, or if an offensive player doesn't break through, we use the lower loss number. And in this case, it would be a loss of 5 yards. So they blitzed, they blew up the screen blocking, maybe the pass is complete, but the defender can't get away, can't break through all that chaos around the screen. That's a 5-yard loss. However, if the offense picks up the blitz and then the screen receiver breaks through, or the offense picks up the blitz and then the defense doesn't pursue it effectively, then it's going to be a bonus, right? So to determine this, you add both of the plus yardage numbers from the left and right PRC plus the black number for a total yardage gain. So we're going to see here it's 9 yards. So say they blitzed, they weren't able to blow it up, the pass is complete, and the receiver broke through. Well, you've got a total of 9 yards, which is pretty low considering that out of a range of 1 to 10, only 1 and 2 are showing here. If it's like 5 and 8, that's 13 plus 6, that's 19 yards on a screenplay. So it's effective to hit blitzing teams with screen passes. So again, what you're doing on a blitz versus a screen game, you're determining what level. Like always, there's 2 main factors. There's level, and then there's the final yardage to determine if a bump up happens or not. And if the defense is able to blow up the screen blocking, or the offense doesn't block it up well, then you start 1 level lower than the red, which is a loss. And then from there, you determine everything that happens. If the offense picks up the blitz or the defense doesn't get home with pressure, you're adding to that. So there's a level change. That's the main idea, is that there's a level change when you call a screenplay against the blitz. And then from there, if 2 things happen in favor of the defense, then it's a big loss. If 2 things happen in favor of the offense, you're adding more yardage. So again, it makes the screenplays a lot of fun. They start to become very flavorful, and all sorts of things can take place on it. Other defenses versus the screen game. Box safety. Anytime there's a box safety and call, all pursuit IPAs, both offensive and defensive, turn into the box safety pursuing the screen receiver. So you resolve the first part of the play as normal. If it calls for blowing up the screen or the screen blocking, etc., all that is resolved as normal. The screen pass is thrown to find out if it's complete, etc., etc. But from that point forward, anything that happens, the box safety pursues, the offensive IPA of trying to break through the chaos of the screen, that doesn't happen. The box safety overrides all of that, and at that point he tries to pursue the screen receiver. So again, box safety is advantageous against the run and also against the screen game. If the defensive call is a linebacker spy, it has no effect on a screen pass call. So again, screen plays are fun in sideline football. There's some flavor added to it because there's two things that are happening. There's the start level, and then there's the pursuit. So thank you again for joining us at FTP Sports Games.